I've been melting in the summer heat, going out of my mind. So far from okay, tongue-tied and afraid. The big things stay the same, and you just say little changes, little changes. Giving up too easy when we could have tried a little bit harder. Standing to the side as the neighborhood went to the dogs. We spent our energy getting angry instead of being kinder. Singing hymns of praise in a city given up on by the gods. So far from okay, tongue-tied and afraid. The big things stay the same until we make little changes. Little changes. Little changes. Cause I've been messing things up, and I've been letting you down. I've been getting it wrong for far too long. I've been lost more than found, and I don't know where to start. But something's gotta break. Don't pull out the park, keep it close to your heart. I'll do whatever it takes. So far from okay, tongue-tied and afraid. The big things stay the same. Let us make little changes. Little changes. Come on, let's make some little changes. It's time to make some little changes. Hey, let's not just pray. Let's make a change. Let's not just pray. Let's make a change. Come on, let's make some little changes. It's time to make some little changes.
We appreciate you all for taking your time for being here tonight. And to start things off, we would like to invite Naomi's father, Randy, to start things off. So Randy, if you can unmute yourself and wait till you see yourself on the screen. And there we go. Go ahead, Randy.
Okay. I don't see myself on the screen. Can people hear me?
We can.
Okay, good. I'm old, so even though I do Zoom meetings, I'm still not perfect at this. So please, forgive me and allow my technical incompetence. But this is hard. But on behalf of Laurie and myself, I'd like to welcome everyone from across the country to a celebration of life for our wonderful, wonderful daughter, Naomi. We'd like to thank everyone for an incredible outpouring of love and support and stories from those who knew her throughout her life. We also appreciate all who have helped put this event together, offered to speak, sent in photos and memories. Please forgive us for any unintentional errors or omissions, because we've tried our best despite the time constraints and actually fairly significant computer failures. Looking out digitally at all these people who knew and were touched by Naomi, it makes me realize that while we have recently seen how easily the worst things, such as illness and lies and hate and even complacency, can spread, Naomi continually showed us that the best of us can spread kindness, friendship, happiness, and caring just by being who they are and living a good, even if much too short life. So with the help of some of the many people who loved her, let's remember and smile and celebrate together. Thank you very much.
Randy, thank you for that. We're going to be starting things off in Naomi's younger years. So we'll take a look. We're going to hear from several people here this evening, but first and foremost, a montage of Naomi's high school and younger years.
Oh,
But now it's almost time to see the sunshine. We're planning our vacations and watch out where we'll take them, 'cause we're all ready now to have some fun. And oh, I've got that sunshine now. And oh, nothing can bring us down. And on a windy road, no telling where we'll go. And oh, the nights are full of laughter, but everything is better in the sunshine. So let's enjoy our best friends, the holidays and weekends. Windows are down, so watch out, here we come. Oh, I've got that sunshine now. And oh.
So we'd like to invite Sarah Wexler, who grew up together. They've been friends, if you can imagine, since preschool. One of her dearest, closest friends. Sarah, we can see you if you can unmute yourself. Sarah,
Yeah, can you hear me?
we can. Thank you.
Great. So Naomi and I first met when we were, I think, around 3 or 4 years old, respectively, at our synagogue's day camp. We attended elementary school together at Cowan Avenue, and though we went our separate ways from middle school onward, we remained friends, growing closer as we grew older and sharing countless cherished experiences together. Anyone who was friends with Naomi knows how fun she was to be around and how uniquely clever she was. That was true dating all the way back to her childhood. She used to write songs. I'm not sure how many people know about that part of her life. That included one catchy little blues number with a title that I will never forget for as long as I live, Don't Butter My Apple. When I asked her what Don't Butter My Apple meant, she explained very matter-of-factly that it essentially meant not to ruin my good mood. I mean, of course, how did I not get that? Really, though, Naomi was more than just a friend to me. She was the closest thing I ever had to a sister. And I think it's important to note that today I'm speaking not just on behalf of myself, but on behalf of my parents, my brother, and my fiance as well. My mom described Naomi as part of the Wexler family because we all loved her as if she was our own blood. When my little brother Judd came along, I wasn't always as nice to him as I should have been, sibling rivalry and all that. Fortunately for him, he had Naomi, who was always so nurturing and kind to him. Even before he could really say her name, he used to call her Owie. He looked up to her. She was always so good with kids and such a great role model for them. We were together on New Year's Eve in 1999, on the cusp of the new millennium. My dad remembers how we all gathered in our driveway with our party hats and noisemakers to welcome the new year. I'm glad we got to share that beautiful moment of hope and optimism, qualities Naomi had in seemingly unlimited reserve for as long as I knew her. In 2001, our families took a trip together to the Mojave Desert to see a meteor shower. It was an outing that stuck with all of us, including Judd, who would have been just 3 years old at the time. In a letter he wrote to Naomi, he recounted, "Most of that trip is a fog for me, but I do remember jumping on the beds in the hotel with you and how much of a blast I had thanks to your company." I believe that picture was in the montage at the beginning of this. Truly, everything was a bit more fun when Naomi was around. That also applies to mother-daughter time. Over the years, Naomi, Lori, my mother, and I would, on occasion, get together for brunches or spontaneous chats in the living room, and it was always delightful. And my mom enjoyed talking to Naomi just as much as I did. She loved hearing updates on Naomi's life and all of the exciting things she was doing. Felt like every time we turned around, Naomi had another new achievement under her belt. Naomi and I played sports together, though she was a legitimately incredible athlete, while I was mostly there because my parents insisted I be. We went to Hebrew school together and often bonded over our shared faith and culture. You don't need to come from the same background as someone to be close with them, but there was something I think we both appreciated about the understanding we shared about where we came from. It was a part of ourselves we never had to explain to one another, and that was always comforting. Among Naomi's many wonderful attributes were her natural curiosity and openness to new experiences. On my 24th birthday, we spent the day together, just the two of us, taking a day trip to San Diego. During the afternoon, we explored the sights and the seaside. That night, we went to the Montalban Theater to see two of my favorite comedians in a kind of weird, absurdist play called Oh Hello. Naomi had absolutely no idea what she was signing up for, but the fact that she went along with it anyway to support me meant a lot. I will always be grateful for that day. And yet, that is not even close to the thing Naomi did for me that year that I'm most grateful for, as I believe a number of people here today know, because it was something that I think she was particularly proud of. In April 2016, Naomi introduced me to a guy named Jack, who would eventually become my fiance. I want to make it clear that setting me up with people was not something that Naomi made a habit of. This was the only time she ever even tried it. She knew me well enough to only do it when it was someone she really sensed was right for me. Jack and I are both forever in her debt for bringing the happiness that she did into our lives. She also managed to find us our first apartment. Is there anything that Naomi couldn't do? In a couple of years' time, both Naomi and I would be engaged, and we were so excited to be planning our weddings at the same time, trading notes and sharing updates on everything from our vendors to our decor choices to our dress shopping. We were going to be each other's maids of honor. I couldn't have been more flattered to fill that role for Naomi, and I cannot tell you how much it breaks my heart that I won't get to see that through to the end, and that she will not be there for my own wedding, at least not in physical form. Obviously, she will be there in spirit, given that the occasion literally would not be happening if it weren't for her. This past month plus has been so painful, but it's also been so strange. Naomi was one of the few true constants in my life, and I'm still trying to process this new reality where that's not the case. Naomi was one of those people who had always felt so comfortable talking to, no matter how long it had been since the last time we saw each other. It always felt like we could so easily pick up right where we left off. I'm still learning how to cope with the fact that I'm never going to have one of those reunions again, at least not in this lifetime. I keep having dreams where I see her and we're talking and everything's fine. Even in my waking hours, I can't tell you how many times I wanted to text her about something only to remember all over again that she's gone. It's just so wrong, and I can't see how it'll ever not feel wrong. Yes, I know that no one ever really leaves us, and that as long as there are people around to keep her memory alive, and obviously just seeing who's here today, there's going to be a lot of people who are doing that. And as long as that's the case, she will always be with us. To be honest, I'm not finding much comfort in that just yet. But that said, whether it brings immediate comfort or not, I feel we all have an obligation to honor her memory in one particular way, and that's by emulating some of the many admirable aspects of the way that she lived. Maybe that's through increasing our involvement in the causes we care about. Maybe it's by rededicating ourselves to public service. Maybe it's just by being more kind overall. For my part, I'm working on being a better listener. I know I'm not alone in feeling this way, but nothing made me feel more seen and appreciated than having a conversation with Naomi. She was always so clearly actually hearing what I was saying and would always engage with me on a deeper level. If I can give that to others, I know that in some small way, Naomi is still here. I hope you'll all join me in this because I genuinely believe that the world would be a better place if more people tried to be just a bit more like Naomi Hecht. Thank you.
Sarah, thank you for those kind words and sharing those wonderful memories. As we continue on past her younger years, we move into Naomi's high school years as well.
These are the good times. I feel the good vibes. Bring it together. The more the merrier. Hey, hey. Yeah, the more the merrier. Hey, hey. Oh, yes, these are the good times. Hey, hey. Hey, hey. 'Cause everything is better when we get together. It's time to celebrate. Come on, come out and play. It's such a perfect day to let it lead the way. Yeah, our love will lead the way. 1, 2, 3.
To talk about Naomi's high school years in college and such, two friends from high school and college, Jordan and Monica.
Hello. So my name's Jordan McSpadden, and I was friends with Naomi in middle school. I guess we met in 9th grade at Harvard Westlake. So I'm gonna read a little something I wrote about her. Naomi was a friend I could always depend on to be there for advice, comfort, and a laugh. We met in 9th grade at Harvard Westlake. I started Harvard Westlake in 7th grade. And when she joined our little friend group in 9th grade, she fit in with us so well. I remember our group sleepovers where we would watch TV, run around the house, and braid hair. We always sat next to each other in the limo during school dances. I ended up spending my junior year in Spain, so Naomi and I left Harvard Westlake at the same time. Unfortunately, we lost touch for a couple years. It wasn't until I got a Facebook message from Naomi asking me if I was also going to Wesleyan that we reconnected. Naomi was my first friend at Wesleyan. Leaving your home for college can be scary and a stressful time. Knowing a familiar face, someone so kind like Naomi would be at Wesleyan with me eased my nerves a bit. When we both got to Wesleyan and reconnected again for the first time, our friendship was how it was in high school. It was like those 2 years where we hadn't been in touch never happened. I remember the first time it snowed at Wesleyan freshman year. Naomi texted me and we both ran outside to experience it together for the first time. Two LA girls on the East Coast jumping around in what we thought was a lot of snow. We soon found out we were wrong when there was a nor'easter a couple months later that caused all the electricity at Wesleyan to go down. I've been looking back at our past text messages, and they're hard for me to read. They're hard for me to read because they remind me of how caring Naomi was. I look back at little conversations we had. Even the most mundane question Naomi would answer with so much thought and care. I tried to do the same for her. Even when we were 15 years old and had only been friends for a year, we would sign our messages that we missed each other and loved each other. Naomi was always there for me when I needed advice, which was almost 24/7 in college. I tried to be as positive as she was, but it's hard to be as positive as someone like Naomi. She always saw the positive in life. It's not fair that someone as beautiful, caring, hopeful, passionate, and loving was taken away from this world. With all the mayhem happening in the world lately, I can only imagine what Naomi would say. She would see that everything is going to get better. She had so much to offer still, and I'll miss her so much. To Lori and Randy, Naomi's family, fiance, and friends, I'm so sorry for your loss, and Naomi will always have a very special place in my heart. I'm sorry for crying so much.
Thank you, Jordan. I know that was difficult. Clearly, you were a formidable part of her life. Now, Monica, if we'd like to ask you, is Monica with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, there you are. Hi, Monica. Go ahead.
Yeah, so Naomi and I met during our very first semester of freshman year. And as many of us are probably aware, like freshman year can be it's fraught with many difficulties, and a lot of us are very uncertain. But I feel incredibly lucky that I was able to meet Naomi so early on in my college career. Because I think she's probably one of the kindest people I've ever met. And I'm extremely thankful that we were able to become friends. I remember walking back with her from brunch during like the many times we went to brunch freshman year at USTAN, and she would always listen to me when I would vent to her about any situation or any person that I was like frustrated with, and she was always able to listen with non-judgment for me or the person that I was talking about. And I thought it was always so incredible, and I reflect back to that to this day, because she was able to have such maturity, like extreme maturity for like a 19-year-old. And she was always able to see the best in everyone. And I still strive to do that to this day. In addition to the calm, thoughtful presence Naomi brought to our friend group, she was always able to be the voice of reason when our antics got a little bit too crazy. And I'll never forget all the fun nights we had together, just hanging around in the freshman dorms, just goofing off, and all the brunches we had and all the mornings we spent together, like hanging out the night after. Yeah, I just want to take time to just cherish all the memories that we have together and just remember like how much of a fun person she was to be around.
Thank you, Monica. Now, we have a young lady that was born and raised in Los Angeles who went and ventured out to Connecticut, Middleton, Connecticut, to Wesleyan University. So we're going to look at a montage of those years.
Sing it out to the world. Shout it out, let them know that we're here right now. Don't worry now, we're gonna find what we've been looking for. We don't ever think twice, we won't stop until we reach the stars. It makes us who we are. And when the days get long, just remember we're not alone. Sing it out, oh, oh. We got this one life to live, oh, oh. So take a chance, don't be afraid. We got this one life to live, so make the most of it. Set your heart free, we'll make a better day tomorrow. We're stronger now than we've ever been before. Yeah, we've got each other. And when the days get long, just remember we're not alone. Sing it out, oh, oh. We got this one life to live, oh, oh. So take a chance, don't be afraid. We got this one life to live, so make the most of it. Keep looking up, we'll never stay down. These are the things that make us sing loud. Let's pack our bags, let's skip this town. We gotta make our memories proud. Sing it out, oh, oh. We got this one life to live, oh, oh. So take a chance, don't be afraid. We got this one life to live, so make the most of it. Sing it out, oh, oh. We got this one life to live, oh, oh. So take a chance, don't be afraid. We got this one life to live, so make the most of it.
Now we turn to maybe someone who knew her best her freshman year, the gentleman that lived next door to Naomi, Greg Wand. I'll take it away.
Thank you. As said, Naomi was my next door neighbor our first year and eventually one of my housemates. And just very simply, she was an amazing friend. I met Naomi on move-in day at Wesleyan because of some brownies that my mom had left to help me make friends. I'm not sure if she just liked the brownies or felt bad for the kid who had to bribe people for friendship, but either way, it was the catalyst to us quickly becoming really close friends for all of college and beyond. We quickly grew to know each other. We had shared interests in How I Met Your Mother, in biology, where we probably spent more time than is appropriate studying at weird hours of the night, eating dinner together nearly every night at 5 o'clock sharp. Always always get her texts, or I'd text her and be like, dinner? Yep. Meet at U's, Dan. She eventually introduced me to the movie The Room at the Wesleyan film series, and the possibility that you can sustain laughter just by simply talking about laughing. And that's a phrase that we used for that was geeking out, and just saying that would be enough to give us the giggles. And over time, we developed a real understanding of each other, where we could just look at each other from across the room and instantly know with just a glance what we were thinking. Like others have said, our friendship was just so easy. Even if we didn't talk to each other over summer or after college, we went our separate ways. I still got to see her a few times in California and Pennsylvania, and every time we met, it was just so easy. Picked up right where we left off. And I think it was really because Naomi made it easy. She wanted people to be comfortable. She was just very easy to like. I've been thinking about this a lot for the past few weeks, what I want to say here. And there's one interaction, or one continued interaction, that I keep thinking about every time I think about Naomi. And that's, she just wanted people to feel good about themselves. Every time on campus we'd run into someone, she would always have a sincere compliment ready to just dole out and just make their day better. I think that's a fundamental part of Naomi's personality that made her so likable, and what made her suited to her commitment for caring for others with West 8 to 8, community health, time in med school. She just fundamentally wants people to be the best that they can be. And this is just a small part of my experience with Naomi at Wesleyan, and I'm sure everyone here has similar stories about how she touched all of our lives in similar positive, big and small ways. The way I want to remember her is to make sure that we can not take ourselves too seriously. We can take the time to geek out, that we can lift others up when they're feeling down, and that we can truly appreciate the friendships that we have. Reminisce about all of that, and thank you.
Now, clearly, this West Coast girl, Naomi, seemed to fall in love with the East Coast, because after Wesleyan, she headed out to Philadelphia, where she went to medical school in Jefferson. And here's some images from that time.
Waking up too early in the city, feeling disconnected. The underground and my understanding of delays on the line. The weather and the way we worked out weren't quite as expected. I've been melting in the summer heat, going out of my mind. So far from okay, tongue-tied and afraid. The big things stayed the same. Let us make little changes. Little changes. Come on, let's make some little changes. It's time to make some little changes. Hey, let's not just pray. Let's make a change. Let's not just pray. Let's make a change. Come on, let's make some little changes. It's time to make some little changes.
One of the closest friends that Naomi had in medical school was Becca Montana, who's going to share some thoughts as well. Becca? Thank you. Go
Hi.
ahead.
Hi, everyone. My name is Becca Montana. I wanted to thank everyone who's spoken before me. You guys did a great job commemorating Naomi, and I really appreciated getting to hear about all the other parts of her life. So I wanted to thank everyone for that first. I also want to thank Naomi's network of wonderful family and friends who have joined us today. I first met Naomi a few days before starting Jefferson Medical School orientation at a mixer. We discovered we had many things in common, and I could clearly see from the start she would be the most fantastic friend and colleague. I remember thinking she was incredibly friendly and also super funny. At the mixer, there was a lot of food being served, and later when the dessert came out, other people were saying they were too full for dessert, but Naomi just smiled and said that she had two stomachs, one for dessert, and that she could handle it. Over the next few days, we bonded and met up for various occasions. I remember one time we ran into each other in the campus bookstore to try on our white coats early. We had been told that during orientation, there would be a designated time to try on our white coats. But Naomi and I both decided to try them on early, and we brought our moms with us. And our moms told us later how they could tell how well we got along, even at the beginning of our friendship. Naomi and I thought it was so funny that our moms agreed about that. From there, she quickly became my best friend in medical school, and we shared too many fun times to count. From late night hangouts, study sessions, and walks, watching Tarzan and other movies, and dinners with friends. Naomi and I spent so much time together that sometimes people mixed us up. And I remember one time I was walking around campus and an acquaintance mentioned how cold the weather was that day and said, "It's not like the LA weather you're used to." So I'm from Boston, so this person had very much mixed me up with Naomi, and I told Naomi later that I felt complimented to be mixed up with her, and she said, "Oh my gosh," and giggled. Naomi was the kindest, smartest, and most caring person. I remember she sat me and two of our other best friends down when we were struggling to learn all the antibiotics. She stood up at the whiteboard, writing charts and mnemonics she had created. All of our study group was taking notes, and it felt like she was our personal professor. Whenever we thanked her for teaching us, she always said to never thank her and that teaching helped her too. What a kind and genuine and loving soul. Naomi cherished her close friends, family, and friends. She always had such wonderful things to say about her parents, Lori and Randy, her brother Matthew, fiance Lucas, and loved introducing all of them to her friends. I remember we had a lot of good laughs when Naomi, Lori, and I went to Morning Glory for brunch when Lori was in town. When her father, Randy, came to town for work, Naomi decided that instead of staying at a hotel, he would stay on the couch so they could spend more time together. She was so proud to bring her dad to class with her too when he was in town. She also spoke so highly of Lucas, and it was so awesome to see Naomi so happy with him. Lucas was always there for the big stuff and the smaller stuff too. Once Naomi and a group of our friends had planned on going to Shrek the Musical at the Walnut Street Theater. Lucas wasn't originally interested in going, but he came along to spend time with Naomi and her friends. Lucas also got Naomi into cooking, and she became quite the chef. Before my step exam, she made cookies shaped like drafts and personally delivered them to me. Even throughout her own challenges, she still made time for others. She had such a positive attitude. I remember when she returned to Philadelphia from her first treatments in California, she invited me over to her apartment. She said to wait in the living room because she had something to show me. She emerged from her bedroom wearing a long blonde wig, smiling and laughing, and exclaimed, "I'm your sister, Hannah Montana." My last name is Montana, so she was joking that she was the pop star with the blonde wig and the same surname as me. I fell onto her couch laughing, and then she also joined me on the couch, and we were cracking up together. She chose the blonde one just to try something new, and she figured she could wear it to the gym. Naomi could not stop telling this story to her friends. She would always say, "Becca fell onto the couch." I will always miss Naomi's compassion, kindness, humor, and warmth. She was a spectacular human being. I truly feel that Naomi has helped me get to the place I am today. I still can hear her laugh and her voice, and when I walk around Philadelphia, I remember all the places we went together. I will always treasure her and hold her close to my heart. May Naomi's memory forever be a blessing. I also want to read a poem in her honor. It is called We Remember Them by Sylvan Kamens and Rabbi Jack Reamer. At the rising sun and at its going down, we remember them. At the blowing of the winds and in the chill of the winter, we remember them. At the opening of the buds and in the rebirth of spring, we remember them. At the blueness of the skies and in the warmth of summer, we remember them. At the rustling of leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we remember them. At the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember them. As long as we live, they too will live, for they are now a part of us, as we remember them. When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember them. When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember them. When we have decisions that are difficult to make, we remember them. When we have joy we crave to share, we remember them. When we have achievements that are based on theirs, we remember them. For as long as we live, they too will live, for they are now a part of us, as we remember them. Finally, I have some words from Dr. DeSimone. She is the Student Affairs Dean at Jefferson Medical School. I remember meeting Naomi for our initial annual meeting, when she shared her smile with me for the first time. That smile that lit up every room, and despite everything, she never seemed to be without. Her time at Jefferson and commitment to medicine was nothing short of spectacular. She held a sincere desire to succeed, not because she wanted to be the best, but because she loved medicine and wanted to provide great care to patients. Always looking to do better, she eagerly did what was expected and then some. A model student and future physician, nothing has shown her passion for medicine more than how she approached the past 2 years. It is difficult enough to be a medical student, but to keep up while going through treatments, again, with that smile getting her through, was incredible. She amazed me from day one of her diagnosis, sheepishly smiling with such positivity despite each setback along the way. Many would be angry, but she took everything in stride and just continued to persevere despite it all. To see her get through the year, the boards, and onto her third year, where she finally had a chance to truly shine, was an inspiration. I know that the care and compassion she showed to patients was exactly what she showed everyone fortunate enough to meet her. Kindness and grace. I mean this when I say Naomi was meant to be a doctor. Kind, passionate, genuine, gentle, what all physicians should strive to be. The world needs more doctors like Naomi, really needs more people like Naomi. Naomi taught me to always look on the bright side and approach each day with a smile, and that I will forever treasure. With all my heart, Kristen DeSimone, MD, Associate Dean. Thank you, everyone, so much.
Thank you, Becca, for sharing the words. We appreciate it. As we continue to another friend and classmate in medical school, Lydia. Go ahead, Lydia.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lydia, and I was lucky enough to become friends with Naomi during medical school. I was listening to the radio the other day and happened to tune into a discussion of the self. One guest argued that the self, how we perceived ourselves and how others perceived us, was about our memories just as much as it was about our morality and our actions. I bring this up because I think that everyone here would have their own favorite memories about Naomi and likely would have a hard time picking just one. For me, my favorite memories of Naomi all involve her smile. It's something that a lot of people have talked about. I'm not really sure if that's because Naomi could almost always be found smiling, and all of my memories of her are my favorites. But what I remember is how she threw her whole self into that smile, which she always combined with a laugh. It was truly infectious. It was its own entity, and she seemed to light up the air around her with it. You couldn't help but laugh back, no matter how miserable or tired or grumpy you were. An 8 a.m. lecture doesn't really seem so early until you have to do it day after day. I remember one time our presence was required at what felt like a very early morning lecture during our second year. With an admittedly gray storm cloud over my head, I sat down next to Naomi. And for the life of me, I can't remember what I said to her during a break, but I do remember that she burst out laughing. And I couldn't help but laugh back. Even though she was probably just as tired as me, especially that given on any particular night, she could reliably be found studying in the third floor of the library. She still managed to find humor in the situation. Making Naomi laugh certainly made you feel good about yourself. Maybe I should have gone into comedy instead of medicine, but it was more than that. Her laugh, her smile made you feel like things weren't so bad, that there was joy to be had in any little thing, and that in and of itself was something to celebrate. She lit up the world with her kindness and humor, her attitude in the face of challenges, and her commitment to making the world a better place. It was a rainy day when she told me about her diagnosis. Lucas was there too with a massive umbrella. I remember we hugged and she laughed about something in that wholly committed way of hers. Looking back, I realized that her laugh wasn't for her, it was for me. Even in the midst of everything that was going on, she was trying to help me feel better. Why? Why would she worry herself with how I was doing after hearing this? It was because that's who she was, who she will always be to me. It's hard not to feel resentful, like the world has made sort of a grievous cosmic mistake. But one of the things that I'm incredibly grateful for is having the chance to share memories with people who love Naomi too. Watching the ceremony with Becca, I was reminded of these moments that I had really forgotten about in the mad rush of medical school. Like when Naomi's dad sat in on a lecture and afterwards she introduced us to him, the resemblance was uncanny. Or when Becca showed me a picture from a study session in Seagan Lounge, where we often studied, of Naomi surrounded by a box worth of Whoppers on the floor and a look of absolute desolation on her face at the spill. It honestly may have been the most upset I've ever seen Naomi. For anyone wondering, we did throw the wasted Whoppers away, thereby saving our gut microbiomes, but crushing our souls. I think that all of us here would probably attest that knowing Naomi, knowing who she is, what she stood for, and the way she approached life have changed us for the better. Our memories of her have shaped who we are and will always be a part of us. And thank you for allowing me to be part of that.
Lydia, thank you so much. To close out maybe her college years, from a classmate and friend, we invite Eileen to share a few words. Eileen, go ahead.
Hi. I just wanted to say a few words about Naomi. She was an intelligent doctor, a compassionate human being, a close friend. And in my life, I've met only a few people who I felt like truly at ease with. And that's how I always felt with Naomi. When we talked, I always felt like the purest version of myself, free to tell stupid jokes or even just speak my stream of consciousness. And I knew that she heard me and she understood me. And I know I'm not the only person here who felt like the best version of themselves around Naomi. And while I think we're all hurting today, I've heard that grief is the price you pay for love and that it's worth paying for. I love you very much, Naomi, and I'm lucky I had the chance to know you.
Thank you so much, Eileen. We appreciate that. Again, as a reminder, if you haven't had an opportunity to fill out the comment section of thoughts and how you knew Naomi and how she touched your life, we invite you to do so there as well. Now we would like to invite Dr. Fred Markham Jr., that is Naomi's advisor during her family medicine rotation. Dr. Fred.
Hi. I didn't know Naomi as long as all of you have known her, and I certainly learned a lot about her, but I worked with her when she was doing her family medicine rotation. It all started when Dr. DeSimone called and said there's a student who has cancer, but she wants to continue in the 3rd year, but she was scheduled to do surgery first, and you can imagine surgery is a challenging thing to do first. So we wondered if we would have her come on to family medicine. We said yes, but then she became ill again and didn't come in then. But early in the fall, she came back. I decided I would be her advisor because I knew what was going on. I didn't know whether I wanted to share it with other people, and I thought I would leave that up to her. One of the things we do with family medicine, we have what's called reflection rounds, where a pastoral person, one of the people at Jefferson who does pastoral care, and I lead the students that are doing family medicine on a discussion of what's stressful, what's going on in their lives or whatever. And I wasn't sure how Naomi was going to handle that. And she said, I'm Naomi and I have metastatic breast cancer. And so I sort of knew, well, I guess we'll know how she's going to handle that from then going on. I worked with her often seeing patients. She was absolutely wonderful with patients. You know, she was a little bit rusty and she hadn't done 3rd year, but she was really up for the game. She came and she was never late. Everyone that worked with her really liked her. And I also had gone to Wesleyan, so I had a connection there. And I thought I might read something in her words that she sent to me, which I think represent a lot about her. So I had written her and said, this is after I had worked with her. I interviewed an applicant for Wesleyan yesterday, and it made me wonder how you were doing in the internal medicine. I think that was the clerkship that you were doing now. So I hope all is going well for you and that your wedding plans are coming along. A wedding is so much work for just one day. And then Naomi wrote me back and said, yay, Dr. Markham, more Wesleyan people. I met someone else at Jeff, who is now my dear friend from Wesleyan. I'm wedding planning, all is going okay. Right now we're trying to figure out caterers. We have a few tastings scheduled, which should be fun. Internal medicine is going well. I've been trying to improve my presenting skills, and it's also allowed me to reflect and confirm that I wanted to do family medicine now that I've seen something comparing with. I hope everything is going well for you. And I think for me, that really is Naomi. I mean, talking about herself in the future, what she wanted to do, being happy about that, sharing that, making people who knew she had cancer, I think, more comfortable with the diagnosis, looking forward to things, and then asking how I was doing with all that she was going through. So it's been amazing to hear all these things. I think that she was a wonderful physician and had a lot to offer. It's a sad thing that she's gone, but boy, she really touched a lot of people's lives. I wish I had spent more time with her, but it was an intense time when you're doing family medicine or doing 3rd year with people. And I just thought she was wonderful and asked that I could talk a little bit about her. I wish I knew her longer, but I think I knew her very well when we worked together. So it's wonderful to hear all the praise about her, all the things she's done. I'm not surprised. She was just a wonderful person and really would have been a real good physician. She already was way along the path. So thank you for letting me speak a minute or two. I know everybody at Jefferson who worked with her had an equally good experience with her and will miss her greatly. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Markham. Appreciate that. Now we can't obviously forget Lucas, Naomi's fiance. We have a montage that we would like to share, honoring and celebrating Lucas and Naomi.
You are the best part of me. The side I hope everyone sees. The air that I breathe, I'm missing piece. Wasn't complete before you. 'Cause you are the best part of me. My daylight sky blue, my greener grass on the other side. It's just the simple truth. All that was wrong, you made it right. 'Cause you are the best part of me.
raising our glass, a mug, if you will. So we have to ask you to grab that mug right now, and when we do, we introduce Naomi's mother, Lori. Lori, take it away.
Hi, everyone. I just first of all wanted to thank everyone for attending, and we really appreciate that for this very special celebration, and also for all the people who spoke. The speeches were so heartfelt and lovely and true. So, by the way, if you have a mug, you can set it down for a few minutes because it's going to take a few minutes to get through this. It's not too long, but I don't want your hands to get cramped while I'm speaking. First, I wanted to mention a little bit about Lucas, especially after that montage. Lucas Van Gorder, Naomi's fiance. Naomi always said Lucas is the best, and we agree. His devotion to Naomi during this challenging time was unwavering. He was always there, sharing and laughing, and also taking such excellent care of her, such as preparing certain foods for each night for her special diet. Lucas gave Naomi a lifetime of the life she always wanted to live, compressed into a few short but very happy years. To be with someone she loved so deeply and who loved her so deeply in return. Being together, even doing the most mundane activity, brought so much joy to each of them. They were perfect together. Randy and I cannot begin to express our gratitude to Lucas for all that he gave Naomi. He is truly exceptional. Now I'll talk about Naomi. I was wondering if there was that slide that we could show. Is that available?
There was supposed to be a.
There
it
go.
is.
Okay, all right. I wanted to talk about Naomi, my beautiful in every way daughter. Every moment of every day, she will be with me. So let's turn to this photo. It's a photo of Naomi and some of her friends from preschool. In case you couldn't tell, as you're facing the photo, Naomi is the second one from the right. Now, the preschool building was over here, and then there was this corridor that led down to an area over here where the entrance and exit doors were to the building. The rabbi's study or office was located just off this hallway, and the rabbi always kept his door to his study open when he was there. One day, while he was working, the rabbi noticed a small band of little preschool girls, including Naomi and some of the others in this photo, walking by his door down the hallway. And then it dawned on him that there was no adult accompanying them. So he ran after them and stopped to ask them what they were doing. And Naomi and her friends said, "We're leaving." The rabbi asked, "Well, why are you leaving?" Naomi and her friends replied, "Because we're bored." Now, Naomi and her friends never quite made it out the door that day, but you have to admit that it was certainly a valiant effort. When the director of the preschool, which, by the way, no longer exists, although not because of just what I told you, but FYI, they really did beef up their security after this little incident. But when the director of the preschool informed me later that day of what had happened, needless to say, I was horrified. But after some time, and after Naomi reached a point in her life where she understood the potential danger of this little escapade, we all began to realize that it was kind of funny. Even though her mission to leave the preschool had been foiled, the adventure of planning and carrying out their potential escape in and of itself was not boring. So I guess you could say that there was some degree of success to their plan. Still, one might think that since the little girls failed to achieve their actual goal of escaping, this could have discouraged Naomi from rising up in the future to change situations that were not to her liking. But Naomi was never one to be easily discouraged. Instead, she would just learn from that experience and bring that new knowledge with her to the next experience. So the story that I just told actually says quite a lot about Naomi. That at a very, very young age, Naomi thought that if a situation was not to her liking, she didn't just accept that situation. She didn't just complain about it. She tried to figure out what was in her power to change it. And then she would act on it. Even if it meant trying to walk out of your preschool without adult supervision because you were bored during nap time. Trying to change situations that are not to one's liking can take many forms, large and small. Spending one's entire career teaching the next generation or working to eliminate hunger or treating illness, for example, these are big gestures for change, and they're so important. But smaller gestures to make a situation better are also really important. A classmate of Naomi, who had been going through a difficult time, told the story of how in middle school, hurtful words had been said to this student during class, and that Naomi was the one person who stood up for the classmate. The classmate continued to say that Naomi made certain that they were okay afterwards, and that Naomi offered to walk them to class for many days later. Naomi also shared her notes with them and asked if she could help while they were catching up. The classmate said, "I am forever grateful to Naomi for this. She truly changed the course of my entire school year and my academic trajectory because of her kindness. I am positive she touched the lives of so many by speaking up for them and caring even in the smallest ways. She made a difference." Naomi didn't like the situation in her classroom, so she decided, in her very gentle but effective way, to speak out and do something about it. This may have seemed like a fairly small act, something to which Naomi probably never gave a second thought. Yet its repercussions on the life of the student were profound. It was often that the many seemingly small things that Naomi would do throughout the day made people's lives just a little bit better. But she never really had to pause and think about the little things that she could do to make others' lives better. She just did them automatically. It was who she was. It was part of her fabric, her core, that she could bring joy to others so effortlessly. Her kind voice was a window to her soul. If she would buy a meal for a homeless person living on the streets of Philadelphia, what mattered just as much as the actual food she provided was the nourishment brought about by the kindness and respect that they could glean from Naomi's voice. For the Lyft driver who clearly was having a bad day, Naomi's soft and sincere words, "Thank you, and I really hope that things get better for you today," jolted the driver to a different place, and he was overcome with appreciation, as though just her sincerity had this incredible power to take this bad day and flip it into a good one. It wasn't just what she said, it was how she said it, and that she listened. So many people have commented on her exceptional ability to listen, and it was no surprise that she was selected to be part of Wesleyan's 8 to 8 student listening service. One of her classmates commented that even though we never really talked much outside of class, I could tell Naomi always listened. Another classmate said that Naomi gave off a certain vibe that makes the people around them feel at ease, that she would never be unkind or judge others unfairly, and that she would always try to do the right thing. Another classmate wrote that he hoped one day that he would have a daughter who possesses the character and goodness that Naomi possessed. Naomi understood the importance of figuring out what the little things are that make life so much better, not just for the lives of others, but also for one's own life. So many simple things would make Naomi happy. She loved spending hours upon hours browsing in a bookstore. As some of you have heard me mention before, she loved going shopping, not only because she loved to shop, which she did, but also because it provided her the opportunity to dance in the dressing room, an opportunity that she would never pass up. And Naomi loved giving and receiving hugs, which she did freely. There's a little cafe in Philadelphia called Sam's Morning Glory. It was mentioned earlier. Naomi loved to go to this place for brunch. So did Lucas, so did Randy and I. I highly recommend it. If you live in Philly or if you're ever there, check out Sam's Morning Glory. Like Naomi, it's very humble. Nothing fancy, nothing trendy, but it's great. Naomi loved its philosophy. She loved its unfussy but creative menu of specials printed daily, its fantastic omelets and potatoes, its delicious homemade jams and ketchup, its very basic stainless steel coffee mugs, and of course, its wonderful coffee. We went to Sam's Morning Glory whenever I'd come to town, and every time we would sit down and the server would start pouring coffee into our mugs, Naomi would always say, "Coffee is for everyone." Very simple message. Now, she didn't mean that coffee should be for those who shouldn't be drinking coffee for medical reasons, for example, or for those who just don't like coffee. They can always just substitute their favorite daily beverage for the word coffee. What she meant was that for her, coffee was a simple joy, and that everyone deserves and should appreciate the simple joys. But it's not just the joys that we can give to ourselves. It's also the simple acts that we can do to bring joy to others. And Naomi was such a natural at it. After a while, when we would return to the Morning Glory for brunch, we all started to say, as the coffee was being poured, "Coffee is for everyone." And now every morning as I pour my own coffee, I think about how coffee is for everyone. And thinking about it, and especially saying it out loud, reminds me that Naomi wanted us to not only appreciate the simple joys for ourselves, but to perform simple acts with sincerity, compassion, and kindness that could bring joy to others. As one of her friends wrote, "I promise I will try to channel her qualities as best I can." If we say her words out loud, think about what they mean, then act on them, we are not just remembering Naomi, we are channeling her qualities and truly honoring her. So please, now is the time to raise your coffee mug. Raise your coffee mug. If you would like, say what Naomi always said. Say what Naomi always would say, "Coffee is for everyone." To Naomi. Thank you all so much for taking the time to celebrate Naomi's life with us today.
Lori, thank you for that. Oh, look at that smile. There's so much has been talked about her kindness to others, but everybody talks about that beautiful smile. You will be missed. We do have a couple of minutes to talk about or having an open mic, inviting a few of you to be able to speak and share a memory or two about Naomi. We do ask you to be as brief as you can. We do have a few minutes of time. If you would like to speak, we ask you to go ahead and place your name into the chat box right there, and we will kind of go in order. Just to focus on the elements, the positive elements of Naomi and her life as a celebration. That this was about her character and stories, how she may have helped you or somebody else or so many. We would like to open up an open mic, if you will, for those that would like to speak. Go and put your name in the chat, and we will call you up.
My name's Christy, and I know Naomi originally from being in Girl Scouts with her. There's a bunch of our troop mates that are also on the call, and we actually ended up donating some of the trees that was asked, and we wanted to read out loud the message that we wrote on the donation. So here it goes. Who knew that selling cookies and learning camping skills together as Girl Scouts would be the secret to building such beautiful friendships? We are all so thankful that Troop 368 brought us all together and was the source of so many loving memories full of smiles and laughter. Whether it was attending our regular troop meetings, making s'mores by the campfire, volunteering together, dressing up for Tasting Bee, or giggling in our tents late night during Triple B, we always had such a fun time together. As our friendships grew, so did our cherished memories. Dancing the night away at Naomi's bat mitzvah, going to Camp Arbolado, having sleepovers at the Hecht house filled with late night prank phone calls and murder mystery games, always causing mischief in the cul-de-sac during playdates, going behind the house to hike in the bluffs, piling onto the backyard hammock but always being flung off, tying pillows to our bodies while learning how to ride our Heeley shoes, playing Dance Dance Revolution and late night laser tag with Naomi, always being the reigning champion, becoming movie stars on Naomi's birthday when a videographer made a cinematic masterpiece of all of us playing basketball, celebrating the end of our Girl Scout career with a cruise to Ensenada, and texting each other photos of our snaps packages when we went off to college. Being in Girl Scouts has given us an unparalleled bond that has stood the test of time, and it is heartbreaking that we have lost one of the members of this special family of ours. There is no amount of words that could accurately and fully describe your beautiful presence, Naomi. As your mom put it so perfectly, you just had to experience her. We all feel so lucky to have experienced you, Nay. Your gentle nature, your kind heart, your impressive intelligence, your fearless passion, and unbridled silliness are the qualities that make you an inspiration to all of us. Your soul and spirit have been such a gift and have left a remarkable and unforgettable impression on everyone that you have encountered in this world. We all look up to you, and we will be lucky if we can emulate even a quarter of the qualities you possess. Naomi, we love you and all the light you bring into this world. Thank you so much for honoring us with your unforgettable friendship. Love, the daughters and mothers of Troops 368.
Hi, I'm Hannah Gabriel. I wrote in the chat and I wrote to Naomi's parents a couple weeks ago. I met Naomi at Temple Akiba Day Camp. I'm seeing a little stream of other comments of others saying the same thing. We realized though that we were neighbors and lived just around the corner from each other. And I think that really kind of solidified our friendship. It started off as a carpool and ended up just being so much deeper and so much more than that. Started off with Yogurtland trips after camp when we were counselors there, and neither of us had our license yet, and Lori would pick us up. I also just want to mention how devoted and incredible of parents Naomi had. I remember how much she could lean on them for anything, and they were always there for us when we needed them. To pick us up last minute from somewhere. Maybe it was a camp staff party or it was to go to Yogurtland. They were always really there for us. And that's something I definitely remember. But as we grew older, we kept in touch throughout college. We both studied sociology. I think she was either a double major or a minor in it, in addition to the medical field. And what was really amazing is neither of us really had that many friends who kind of shared these passions in this major and this field of study. And, what started off as our summer camp friendship kind of became much more intellectual and deeper. And we'd drive to the beach when we were home from school, and we'd, go to Playa Beach and sit by the sunset and talk about sociology, geek out, as someone else said earlier. So I just want to kind of commemorate her. And there's so much more I could say, of course, but Naomi was a really amazing person, and I will miss her very much.
We want to thank you for being here to honor and to remember and celebrate Naomi's life. On behalf of the entire family and friends, we thank you for joining us here. And once this montage concludes, so does the stream. But Naomi's memories and love of life will continue in all of us.
changes. Giving up too easy when we could have tried a little bit harder. Standing to the side as the neighborhood went to the dogs. We spent our energy getting angry instead of being kinder. Singing hymns of praise in a city given up on by the gods. So far from okay, tongue-tied and afraid. The big things stay the same until we